All right, people. This podcast was brought to you, or is brought to you by Sensi Medical Cannabis House. There you go. Sensi Medical Cannabis House, located at the Pulse Center. This podcast is also brought to you by
Lothian's Boutique. Follow them on Instagram at Lothian's Boutique. You can also visit their store at 23 West Tradeway in Portmore.
And this podcast is also brought to you by Sharp.
Lulu's Holistics. Follow them on Instagram at Lulu's Holistics. And of course, you can check out their website at www.lulusholistics.com. You can also check out their stores in Florida and New York. The Shea Body Butter is everything. Can't go wrong with it.
This podcast is also sponsored by Sharp Cut Barbers, located at 9 Brunstraff Square.
Yeah.
Yo, people, welcome back to the Fix Podcast. Jabo and I are here with Ari, and we have with us a very special guest in the building. You can go back to the special guest.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's different. A different guest. But I switch up things a little bit right now. Kind of tired to talk to that. So. No offense to that.
Just a tad.
That's not that. Ari, do the honors.
Well, I know this guest from Wilma's days.
I know I've seen her about.
She's Amashika Lorne. She is it's PR. Let me go for her official bio.
Draw for the bio.
So I won't be doing it any justice at all. So we go for it. So yes, so she's a principal director of her own marketing firm, marketing firm Amashika and Associate. It was started in 2017, and now she's an author for her very own coloring book, Chat to Me and Color. Can you see? Right. So it really is about enhancing the Jamaican culture and the Jamaican patois, but the Jamaican language, right? And in a very interactive format, in a coloring book, and you can draw and color, and then you learn stuff.
All right, I'm sure Amashika can talk about her book much better than you currently are. All right, so Amashika, welcome.
Hi, and happy to be here. This is my first time.
Are you sure about that? After that, I butcher your book.
You see,
I didn't butcher it.
I didn't butcher it. Things are a learning opportunity for her and myself. So
there
I appreciate the different outlets and just being in the space with young people and sharing.
Amashika is with the shit. She already sunning you. Young people.
Right?
For you to learn. I love it.
But I am happy to be here with you all. It's a different kind of audience, and I will say I am pleasantly surprised at the variety of persons who do tune into your show.
Kids today that I know, a few of them that I know, they don't really have good motor skills in terms of writing and, using the pencil like we usually do, cursive writing. Of course, those are long gone days, but they don't have that. They don't have that ability anymore. And I realize because they're on their tablets and computers, so they don't really have the need to hold a pencil and write out the name and draw and
but
use
there
it.
is a place there's a place for that kind of technology, and there's a place for, as I say, the tactile skills. These are part of your survival skills, learning how to sharpen things, and as I said, just understanding and reasoning when to use which one and how if it breaks and that sort of. There's a place for them both.
And it really just creativity too. Like you're able to, I've always loved coloring books. You're able to just draw and do whatever you want, whatever the imagination and the sparks.
You still read those books to this day?
I do. Like some days I do go through my library and I just go through my old stuff and I'm just going through whichever whatever color, then I color now. So it's fun. I enjoy it. I love it.
So a part of the book as well is that we're highlighting some Jamaican icons.
Right.
So we have one of our national heroes, Marcus Mosiah Garvey is included. We have some iconic landmarks in terms of
I see Port Royal,
Port Royal
Blue and John Crow Mountains.
It was declared a National Heritage Site by UNESCO. We also have Halfway Tree. So it really showcases, it's all Jamaican settings. So especially persons in the diaspora, when they have children who have not been home or have not been to Jamaica, it's a great way to talk to them about the life they lived and what exists today. And even just baking pudding in Christmas time, how many families have a grandma or a mom that does pudding on a coal stove? How many people know what a coal stove look like?
No.
So
Amashika gone too far with the coal stove.
But it's a part of what the positive narrative about Jamaica. It's not just Bolt. It's not just athletics. There's so many great things about our culture. And then as we speak on the culture as a whole, another thing I want to mention is that when I decided that I wanted to do this book and I wanted to create something that had meaning and impact and that was durable, I didn't just want to have the proverbs and what they meant. I wanted to take it a step further. So I wouldn't say stumbled upon. I was in search of the source. So I went in search of persons or advocates who were advocating for Jamaican or Jamaican patois to be something formal or something standardized.
Because I saw that you linked up with Mr. Devon.
Professor Hubert Devonish. She was a past head of the Jamaican language unit based at UWI. So at the time, we sat down and we did a series of interviews, and I really got to understand what is the work that they were doing. In 2004, they were doing the bilingual education project where they did a pilot study in some schools, and they taught the students in both English and so we're calling it Jamaican because it's based on the sociologists who said if you have the option of naming things for yourself, you name the language after the people who speak it. So England and English, Spanish and the Spanish, as in people from Spain. Yeah. So if you are Jamaican, you will speak Jamaican.
Italian.
Same concept there. Right. So I went in search of it. I started to understand the breadth of the work that they were doing and how it was improving the bilingual consciousness of these students. Because what happens is when they go to the classrooms, they normally when you go to the classrooms, it's almost as if you're stripping away everything that they know and you're trying to teach them something new. Why not show them that what they came here with is a foundation, and this stands on one side, and now we're teaching you another language on another side. So some of the findings showed that the students who went through this course or this project, they know how to distinguish words. So for example, if you would say chaka chaka, what is a word for disorganized or untidy? That's in English, chaka chaka. So they know you don't put chaka chaka when you're writing an English sentence. It does not belong. So when you're able to distinguish, it makes them think better, and their it's like the mental gymnastics that is involved is a lot more clearer to students.
Well, I do know the benefits of learning multiple languages.
Absolutely.
I think it's other than just with, as you said, the brain and learning how to distinguish and differentiate between
you can do complex
language.
work better,
right?
Your ability to solve,
to reason, to think,
problem solving, as I said, the mental gymnastics that is required once you are bilingual. It sets a proper
and other
foundation.
than the culture worldly person, like, oh, I speak 2 languages. I'm bilingual.
And that's fine. I mean, and we're not saying don't speak Mandarin or don't speak Portuguese, French, or Spanish. But what we're saying is you already have 2 languages. Why not distinguish them as opposed to having a majority of your population trying to combine them, not knowing what to even speak, and then learn another language? That makes no sense. Because that's what a lot of people are doing today. They're joining the 2, thinking they have a language when it's not. So a lot of the times you hear the critique about politicians. They speak English generally in Parliament, but when it's time to go on the platform, they're speaking patois or Jamaican. Why? They know their base. But when it's time to only speak a certain language, why don't we allow for them to join the fold and understand everything that's fiscal policy, fiscal prudence? Why aren't we speaking in a way that they will understand?
So you're suggesting that politicians, when in Parliament, they not only speak the Queen's English, but they throw a little Jamaican in it.
The language that the people will understand. And I think just generally, and this is the thing about the petition that was put forward by the JLU, it wasn't about removing English and putting Jamaican there. It was being recognized officially on the same level. And what that will do is help to bring more people into the fold, more people into the conversation. That's really what it was about.
I think it's a thing with people where them can't bother to learn a new language, or them think them too far along to learn the mechanics of or the system of a new language. And while I felt that if this was something being taught early on in schools, then this wouldn't be a problem. But because
how are we going to teach it in the schools if you don't allow for this process to take place? We won't have the permission to go into our public schools.
And it's something that it's seen as looked down on by parents, backward and chat patois, like that's something like even my parents would say, oh, speak proper English.
Indeed, we're sending you to school to speak proper English. And that's something that we have to move away from, because with all other languages, they evolved out of things and they got their credence, they got their codes, they had their standardization, hence they were able to go forward. So if we don't allow for this process to take place, guess what? Somebody from Far East can develop something and come teach us. And then where will we stand?
Our Shabba Hanks.
I was going to say more like a Japanese or a Chinese was going to come teach it back in Jamaica at a university.
Like how them doing it, they do the dancing, even with the culture. That's what's happening. And if we don't careful, the vultures will forward.
And how can we blame them in that case? How can we blame them?
If they see an opportunity that we are not capitalizing on.
And that's why I said I wanted a Jamaican to be included in this conversation. I want more Jamaicans to come forward and show their support.
I have a question.
Yes.
Yes, and because Ari does not believe it should be recognized.
I'm saying,
for the record,
I'm saying it's not that I don't think it should be. I feel like it's, as Nara said, really and truly, it's difficult because.
But Ari, have you tried?
And I see you have one and or no, you said something about hand. Yeah, bird in the hand. And I'm like, why not put the H? You put A-N, which is the preposition A-N.
All right, so Ari, the reason why you're thinking like that is because you're using your English mind to know, traverse through this. There is an alphabet and number chart, all the grammatical rules that are already determined or put down for us. So once you have understood the alphabet chart, it makes the reading that much easier. Have you, when last you practiced Spanish?
Just last night, I have Duolingo on my phone, and I'm not bullshitting you.
Don't open the Duolingo. I want you to tell me.
¿Cómo se dice?
¿Cómo se dice green en español?
How do you say what?
Green en español.
¿Cómo se dice? What? Repeat.
¿Cómo se dice green en español?
Oh, verde.
All right, maybe you're practicing.
See? She did say green funny a while ago.
Oh, really?
Green. You said green. You roll the R too much.
But
that's how they say
green.
They do not say green. No, but part of it, Ari, is a matter of once you understand the standardization, it makes the reading that much easier. And
I noticed though, but you're speaking full standard English. And
because I know the audience.
But our audience speak...
No, our audience are 8 of it. They're going to 8 of it. They must say, okay, come on, like, IT. I'm going like you better than people.
But it's not about being better than people. It's a matter of advocating for something that we put it... put the discourse forward and to show that it's not just people of a certain class that this is for, that there are other people advocating for them. And as you were mentioning earlier about not just putting it in the schools, but even the teaching of it. Yes. I wasn't formally taught how to read and write patois or Jamaican. It's something that I'm taking it upon myself to learn this new way of writing. But do you think reading. The thing is, I was saying, because we all have different variations of patois. Because we were never taught it. Right, but then it's instinctive. Weren't you taught English? Hence you know how to speak English the one way? No, but then what I'm saying is that patois is almost instinctive. Like in your communities, so if it wasn't preserved, Ari, how we going to keep even just the speaking alive? Then that's it. It's going to be preserved through all of us. I think it on, but there's no standardized way. How is it that we're going to be learning the grammatical rules and how to construct the sentences? That's the beauty. That's the beauty of it. There's no grammatical structure.
And that's a point I was even going to, expound upon when you look even on dancehall and how people look on it as an expression of self. It's not really something that's structured or standardized. It is structured and standardized. In some cases, but when you speak to historians about dancehall, let's say it's a free expression, even though there are certain rules and certain guidelines to be followed, but in terms of the music is one thing, the feel of it itself. They would say patois probably is an extension of that broader culture that we have. No, a part of your culture is your language. Your music, your dance, your food, your dress. All of it is a part of your language. And I'm saying in dance hall music, they are speaking
Sometimes it's in English, and sometimes it is in patois.
It's mostly in patois.
I'm saying
not necessarily the language, just the form of expression.
No, I'm saying
feel,
don't think freedom means that there's no structure to the sentences.
Yes.
There is structure to the sentences.
True.
And the same way how we are able to distinguish or say that it is instinctive, isn't that even more reason for us to codify our mother tongue? We have taken what the colonizers has given us, and we're here boldly saying, oh, we speak English. Why don't we give credence?
I don't speak English well, let me just...
Lord have mercy.
I'm going to put an asterisk there. Sometimes I'm like, have or has.
Aren't we giving some validity to the language that you say is instinctive, is our mother tongue? There are a lot of people who are left out of the fold.
I will bring up the example of dance.
All right.
And they will say even this is a form of expression, and even how dancehall dance is done, it's not rudimentary. 1 and 2 and 3, and that's what sets us apart from our European or US counterparts in that regard. Our thing is more a form of expression, even ding dong and these dances.
I'm going to disagree with you. As a past dancer, it's not about no structure.
What kind of dancing you used to?
No, she did. She was with Wilma's dance troupe.
I was with Wilma's dance troupe at the Manley School of Dance Junior Department. Went abroad 2 times to international dance conferences, taught workshops here and abroad. So there is structure in the dance hall itself. But what it is in terms of our movements, especially when you're coming from an Afrocentric background, it's more in the hips and the pelvis movements and that sort of thing.
But you're not from the streets.
You think I'm not, because I'm not from the streets, I can't do those moves?
That's all. Not necessarily that you can't do the move, but in terms of the original
you're coming
vibe.
But no. When Ding Dong is doing
like
the rock, it's 1, 2. It's the same
but
counting.
None of Ding Dong's dancers are doing that in their head. There's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5.
Alright. Have you ever been in?
I can't really speak for Ding Dong.
That may I say, have you been in a dancehall workshop? It's not just. It's a matter of
Who's leading these workshops? The Europeans.
No, Latanya Styles. Oh God,
there are people here.
I know.
But I'm saying
dance expression.
There is structure in the way how we express ourselves in jazz and ballet, as well as in dance hall. Whether it is that we're doing new style moves, the frog back, the heel and toe, the rock, the ravers, flare, all that. There are ways to count it and teach it. Just that it's all expression.
It's rhythm, but then I think rhythm is more felt. It's felt than thought. Like in terms of like you're coming from, you just know instinctively.
Yeah, but see, a tourist tried to dance,
but they don't have rhythm. That's what I'm saying. And
they're not of the culture.
Yeah,
and it's for some people. It's like when you try to standardize, it's like in a way them feel like you're trying to take away from the culture.
But maybe it's just our disdain for school and structure. Maybe it's just our disdain.
And that's what I'm saying. So a part of it, I think, in terms of the execution of how we launched the petition, maybe it needed more clarity at the time, but I still felt it would have gotten quite a bit of pushback. But to do it all over again, I would have still added my voice. And helped in any way I could have. Yeah.
What's the motto? No, so
these girls like
yo, complete the line.
No, because I was saying I don't know if you're aware or if you even know about the word Bumbaclot. We can't cuss. So it was this major festival abroad. But
you mean there was a festival that was entitled?
There you go. Yeah, she said it better. But yeah, and Bumbaclot, and is a local curse words
originated here.
So what are your thoughts on that though? Like, because of course we have a very unique curse words and they're exploited. It's safe to say, can't say it's exploited abroad. How are we going to, is that going to be into the fray too? Like, are we going to like own that and take ownership of that and standardize all that too? And
we don't own the word. We don't own language, So
True.
Yes, it may have originated here, but as you can see, it has now spread and other people see the impact of a word like that and what it evokes. So if I were a festival owner and I wanted to curate a festival that is going to have very big dance hall or reggae acts, and I wanted to name it something that was true to the culture, that's fine, because guess what? I'm doing something for that culture versus when I look at the country, that the culture, they're having their own discrepancies and disparities in terms of when you can use it, how you can use it, the time of day, where you can, they're having their own issue. I don't business. I'm having my festival. I bring in the acts. And I saw it just go.
So what was the thought and the behind the conversation between the amongst the language experts?
I mean, I can't speak for the language experts, but I know that they are happy to see that people I think generally they're happy to see that there are people who believe in the power of the language and are celebrating with it. I mean, I don't think you necessarily need to name a festival after that, because that's not the most positive of our Jamaican words.
Is it though?
It is not the most.
Like it's so.
Aria, you know better.
I don't think they're really caring about if it's positive. They
wanted something to emote, but I'm not saying. So personally,
Emote
I don't need to use a curse word to really express something. That's, as I said, I generally try to stay within things. So it could have been it could have been look here. I mean, I'm saying it could have been other things that still spoke to the culture in a positive way. We don't have to say bad words are not the best of us. That's not all that exists within us.
But suppose we can redefine the curse
You're
word.
You're gonna redefine that word?
Yeah, we can, because we can. I mean, if this is language
to be
and
shocked.
Language is fluid and language change over time,
but then Ari,
we can redefine it,
and
like
I get
Jamaican, the patois. But
if you don't allow for standardization and for a proper dictionary and for us to codify it in 2019, how do you reach to 2020 when you even change meaning? If we never, recorded history.
Going forward, we can change.
So you're going to be for us to codify everything. You have to start somewhere. Because the words can't just be changing meaning, because then Ari from St. Thomas will say, no, but the word is really... The word XYZ means to be shocked. It means go suck your mother. Like,
it's an exclamation. We can't say it's an exclamation.
No, but you have to start somewhere. It's just like with English. You have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. And I think that is really what it comes down to. Starting somewhere in terms of the advocacy, in terms of the conversation, speaking to young people, because young people didn't really understand or want to take part in it as well. You have older people who think they spend so much money sending their children to school. Why do they still speak this broken language that Mr. Du has passed down? And a lot of people even say that she's a national embarrassment.
Really?
A lot of people... But I mean,
never heard that.
I would have almost classed you in that same category.
Seriously? No.
If you don't think that the language is of any value to be recognized nationally, why do we celebrate?
Misconstrue what I said.
Let's all gang on her.
It's just difficult to, as you say, codify and define.
It's not difficult. The word done already.
The mechanics of all.
But
that the language is of itself.
The word done already, do not work. You're not the scholar. You're not the academic. The word done. We're just get the alphabet and you can read down. You know how the English letters look down.
Hey. It's hard to read patois, no, seriously.
You are putting I showed children, they were fine. I showed adults randomly.
That's the thing, you have to I feel it needs to start from a young, or people who are more open-minded to learn a new language.
I feel like I'll just start to read when I'm like,
you don't have
what was your reaction when you started reading in Spanish?
And I said, was it easy?
No.
So that's what I'm saying. It takes time to get on that wagon and to get things going.
Oh,